by 3 p.m. on election day in 2024. We're speaking to Mustafa Agbandi earlier. He's Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. We lost him. Let's go to the NPP side. Richard Ahiagbah is Director of Communications of the NPP. Rich, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. What do you make of this proposal to close polls at 3 p.m.?
Mario, thank you. I think that we received that. I think it's been the existing proposal by the EC, but we received that with some cautious optimism to the extent that the EC can provide us the necessary comfort that electorates would not be found wanting on the day of election. But assuming that they provide that comfort for us, I think it's ideal for us to be able to close the polls early and ensure that collation and things that needs to be done in order to declare the results are done in daylight before dark. So I think that is the import of the proposal, but we first need to be sure that it will not result in people being turned away.
How high up have these conversations gone?
As high as it can go, because it is the heart of the entire electoral process that the provision is made for voters who are qualified, whose names are in the register to vote. And so if any decision is being taken that may shortchange voters, I think that would go directly against the dictate of democracy. So we don't want to be too optimistic about this proposal, except that the EC will have to assure us, because otherwise we'll be doing ourselves in and affecting democracy in that direction. So we're hopeful that comfort to be provided, and if all of it goes well, I think that is a good idea that we'll finish early before it's late.
Based on your knowledge of how electoral processes have been in the past, closing at 3 p.m. looks positive for those who are concerned about what happens in darkness, where some communities there may be no electricity or light for the sorting and the counting. That is good on that side. But then we also have the other challenge where electoral materials are not delivered on time in some polling stations, and that becomes a problem. What would you say should be the middle ground?
Yeah, so we don't have a full view of that provision. That's why we're expecting the EC to provide us some comfort. So this is one of the assurances that we'll need going forward, just to understand how the EC is going to execute on the day to ensure that we don't get to a point where there are delays and materials are not on time, and actually then needing to push the polls beyond 3 p.m. In addition to that, I would think that this should not be cast in stone. It should be on a case-by-case basis, be the ideal situation that we want to close at 3 p.m., but a situation where there are difficulties, adjustments can be made based on some of these anticipated delays that you referenced. But I think the EC should be clear and organized and demonstrate to all stakeholders that it has what it takes to ensure that the polls open on time and therefore can close at 3. And by 3 o'clock, anybody who is in line will be allowed to vote, and this can be done orderly without having to affect people's right to express themselves.
I'm seeing publications elsewhere, and I don't know if you have information on this, that your colleagues in the NDC have returned to IPAC. Is that something that you can confirm? I know that there was some Peace Council meeting.
Yes, at that particular Peace Council meeting, I think I was there, and as we speak now, there's a Peace Council meeting going on. That should be the ideal position. And whatever made them elect to remove themselves, they've always had a seat at the table. So I'm sure that conversation has happened many times, and I thought that they'll be back by now, but there is every strong indication that they want to come back. And I think it's good for our democracy if they show up.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, Mr. Richard Ahiagbah. He's Director of Communication of the New Patriot